Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another inspiring and interesting interview here on T.E.R Teachers Consultancy. I am Tarina, and thank you so much for joining me on Facebook and also on YouTube. So, in today's spotlight, our amazing teacher will be none other than Nodia Hanna, a Jamaican teacher in the Bahamas. Okay, so if you are interested in teaching in the Bahamas, this is the interview for you. So you need to click on that link and share it with your friends. Okay, tell everyone that I am online, both on Facebook and on YouTube. So whether you're joining me from Jamaica, from the Bahamas, from the UAE, Canada, or the US, thank you so much for joining and thank you for your support. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit that button right now and share it with someone. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invite our special guest to our live stream. Welcome, Nadia. How are you?
Hi, Tarina. Nice to see you. I am doing well. Thank you. How are you doing?
I am blessed. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see that you're doing well. I miss that radiant smile of yours.
Thank you so much. I miss you too.
Thank you so much for joining us and for
Yes.
taking this time to share your experience with
hmm
us.
Yes,
I
yes.
know it will be an inspiring one.
I hope so too. I hope so. Yes.
I know it will be. Okay, so we have a comment here. Oh, hi, Black Girl TT. Thank you so much. And
Hello.
Nadia, guess what?
Uh-huh.
I posted this the announcement for the live a
hmm
few days ago. Someone, Denise Brown, and I think you
Oh,
may know
yes,
her.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes, she's anticipating this interview.
Okay, nice, nice. I
Yes,
hope I hope I do justice.
I know you will. I know you will. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much. Remember to share the link with someone. Invite your teacher friends to join us on this live stream, whether they are an experienced teacher or they are still in college. They can benefit from this interview. So Nadia, please tell us a little about yourself.
All right. So, as you said before, I'm Nodia Hanna, formerly Taylor. I met my husband here 15 years ago. And so I've been living here now for the past 17 years. I've been a teacher and educator for going on 28 years now. This will be my
Wow.
28th year in teaching. So it's been a long time. I think I'm at the stage now, however, that maybe I need to let the younger ones come and take over as I think I'm getting a little bit older. But
You're well experienced.
yes, right. It's been a good experience. It's been a good, the time spent in education, it's been it's been eye-opening for most part of it, and then making that transition from Jamaica to here, which we'll talk about, has, been different. So yes, but I've enjoyed my time in teaching. Well, I'm still in teaching. What am I talking about? So I've enjoyed my time being a teacher and, looking forward to what comes next.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I don't want you to think that it's your time to leave this prestigious career.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no, it's not your turn as yet. You're well experienced, and I know that
Okay.
you have a lot to share. And
hmm
this is one way of
Yes.
contributing. And
hmm
if you think that you need a shift, maybe you could think about mentorship. All right?
Right. Right. Right.
Mentorship. So Auntie Joyce is saying hi.
Hi, Auntie
Welcome, Auntie
Joyce.
Joyce. Thank you so much. And
Yes.
George Newton is following. Hi, Francine. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, Nadia, thank you for that warm introduction. I will go right into our questions.
hmm
So I want to keep this interview about 1 hour, and I
Yes.
want to give our viewers a chance to ask questions
hmm
when we are close to the end of our little chat. Okay. So I'll be showing the questions on the screen so that our viewers can follow along easily. So when did you start teaching in the Bahamas? And why
Mhm.
did you make that decision to become an international teacher?
Mhm. All right. So as I said before, I started teaching here now 17 years. I came here in 2006. So if my calculation is right, it's about 17 years. And the transition to be, and at the time I didn't even consider myself an international teacher. I said I just wanted to experience something else. So the thought of being international, wasn't in my head. And also it was for personal reasons. My sister was here already. I had a cousin here already, and my mom was in the Cayman. So the thing about it is, I said either the Cayman Islands or the Bahamas, is one or the other. And so when the Bahamas came through, that's when I made the decision to come here as a teacher.
Okay, great. So, did you get your job through a recruitment agency or was it an independent research? Or, but I think you answered that.
Yes, my sister actually, I sent the application to my sister. Well, it wasn't even an application. I just sent my qualifications. I didn't have any school in mind. I just
Mhm.
sent some my qualifications to her, my teacher certificate, my bachelor's. At that time I had attained my bachelor's. um Whatever requirements were necessary, I think I sent medical. I might have sent, um what's the other one, the police record, whatever. I just sent some things to her, and then she just dropped them off to some schools. And then the school that called me was through the Anglican system, and that's how I got my job here.
Okay, great. So, even though that was your experience and journey, is
Hmm.
there any recruitment agency, any platform, website that teachers can go on if they're interested in teaching in the
I'm
Bahamas?
sure they are, because currently there are lots of recruitment agencies online. Um, I can't pinpoint one specifically that's for the Bahamas, but I'm sure
Mhm.
there are agencies that you could go on to see, where they have jobs around the world. There are popular ones that you could use, Teach Away, or some other ones that you could use. But in terms of one specific for the Bahamas, I'm not sure about that one. But I'm sure with the the web being what it is now, when everything is online, I'm sure you could go and search. At the time when I applied, it wasn't maybe as popular, even the 90s, in the early 2000s, to do the online. But now it's like it's everywhere. So you can go ahead and do your little research and see what agencies they are, reputable ones
Mhm.
that you could use to apply to teach here.
Okay. But you mentioned Teachaway, and I'm definitely sure that Teachaway does recruit teachers for other Caribbean countries.
Yes, right,
So
right.
yes, and I put that in the chat as well. So if anyone is interested in going on that website,
Mm-hmm.
just type in Teachaway and it will take you, start your Google search with that one.
Right,
All right, so thank you. Let me go on to the next one. But you did mention a little about the qualification. You sent your qualifications, you sent
right.
police record, all of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the requirements, the minimum requirements?
Right, right. So, of course, you would have finished college, have would have attained at least a bachelor's at minimum, because especially
Yes.
currently, bachelor's is the minimum for you to apply in any system, basically Jamaica, UAE, or wherever you're
Yes.
applying now. It's at minimum a bachelor's, and some places would want a master's degree, depending on what you want to teach and where you want to teach, maybe at the community level, at the college level. So at minimum, a bachelor's degree. And then you would go ahead and prepare your certifications if you have any, your
Mhm.
specified certifications, maybe your special ed, your technical, whatever your specializations are. And then you would go ahead and prepare your doctor's certificate, your police record, as I said before, because everywhere requires some
Right.
background check to see who's coming into their country. You don't want to get persons who will be like troublemakers or whatever. And if you were
Yes.
a troublemaker in your system, please, ensure that the background check will decide how, what you were like in your country, coming from, say, Jamaica or wherever. And then your references,
Mhm.
your references from maybe your current school, somebody in the community, because they want to see, like I said, who's coming into their system. And then all your qualifications. and then you go ahead and send it whether through the agency or if you know somebody that you're in contact with, because you may have personal friends around these Caribbean territories right here in the Bahamas. Then you
Yes.
send them and then they can dispense them accordingly. And
Okay.
whether it's for the Ministry of Education or for private entities. And when you get, let's say, to the Bahamas now, then you go through the other process of getting your work permit, and it's granted, and then I guess they'll determine how long your permit lasts, and then you may sign contracts and so forth.
Okay. So in regards to the work permits and all of that,
Mhm.
when does the school provide the work permit for you? Do they help you with that?
Right. Yes, they do. Yes. Well, I'm in a private schools, and so I can speak from that angle.
Yes.
Yes, they did. They help you to go through the process, so they don't leave you hanging. They will take you to the immigration department, wherever they, um, give those permits, and then they'll help you with the cost. They may pay a portion of it, and then you
Mhm.
pay another portion of it, but it's not your loan do not pay. Well, at the time when I did. I'm no longer on the work permit status. I'm on the spousal because I married a Bahamian. So my process is a little bit different now. So I cannot speak all the on the work permit, but from what I experienced when I came here, I paid just a minimum cost to
Mhm.
get the process going, and it's usually within before you start teaching or by the time you start teaching, you will get your work permit granted.
Okay. And all of that will come out when someone has done their due diligence in terms
Yes,
of research.
right, right, right.
Yes, all of that will come out. Okay,
Mhm.
very good. Here in the UAE, you can only teach in the field or teach a subject that you are qualified in terms of what is on your degree. Is that the
Right.
same thing in the Bahamas?
Yes, basically, yes, right. Because especially if you're coming from abroad, they're going to employ you to teach in the field that you are qualified for,
Okay.
right? So more often than not, you will be, especially expats, you're going to be teaching in your field
Okay.
that you've applied for. Yes.
Okay. Is there here in the UAE, we have to get our documents attested. Is that the same thing in the Bahamas?
Um,
Is
I
important?
don't remember doing any attestment for or attestation, whatever the word is. I don't remember doing that when I came. I know what you mean, like to get it, maybe say it has gone
Authenticated.
through. Right, right.
Right.
No, I don't remember that being a part of the process. But I think they might have done maybe calls to schools that you would have come from, like that to see if, you stand up to what your documents would have said. But in terms of that, I'm not sure that's a part of the process. But I'm not sure for the government system what their requirements might be in that
Okay.
aspect.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Because as I said, I like when, teachers like myself, we share our experience.
Right,
We can only vouch for that. So I
right.
just want to let my viewers know that when you are applying for schools, please do your own research.
Yes, right,
Take
right.
the time to tick those boxes for
Mm-hmm.
yourself to
Right.
know what the requirements are in regards to attestation, what
Mm-hmm.
documents you will need, what payments you need to make,
Right.
because every
Mm-hmm.
country is different, every school is different, right?
Exactly, exactly. And then maybe things have changed in my 17 years here. Maybe
Yes.
now they require attestation. I'm having tongue twister right here, but you know what I mean.
Attestation.
Right. To have your
Yes.
documents attested, right?
Yes.
So maybe now they do. I'm not sure in my system it's part of it, but let's say for government maybe.
Okay.
But like you just said, do your due diligence, ensure that you have an understanding of what you're getting into.
Yes, fair
Mhm.
enough. That's very good. All right, let's move on to our next question. Let me check the comment section first. Okay. Ayana, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And Black
Hello.
Girl TT is saying, and she mentioned, do your research. We can't
Mhm.
say that enough. Do
Right.
your own research. Take the time.
Mhm.
That is your full responsibility. All right. So let's go back to our questions. What are some of the benefits of teaching in the Bahamas?
All right. Some of the benefits. For one, it's a nice climate. Okay.
Yes.
It's really nice climate. You don't experience that heavy winter or wintry weather. And then if
Yes.
we do, it's at a minimum, maybe 2 months, 3 months. Right now, it's nice and cool. Let's say January, it gets a little bit chilly and you want to bundle up. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it's like the Caribbean type weather. So it's really nice,
Mhm.
calm, balmy weather. Your experience is tropical, right? So for those, especially say from Jamaica to the Bahamas, that transition will not be as difficult. However, for me personally, when I just came and I experienced the first winter, I was freezing. But that's because I wasn't used to being so cold. And it
Right.
wasn't long, but it was just long enough for me to be like, oh, I'm cold, right? So the weather is really nice. And then you get to meet individuals from other countries as well. So even though it's a Caribbean, well, it's a Caribbean territory to some extent, um, you get to experience and meet other people from other cultures. Guyanese are here, Filipinos are here, Cubans are here, um, people from the UAE are here, people from India are here. So we have a little melting pot going on here. So you can meet different people. You don't have to meet them in education itself. You can meet them in other areas, in
Yes.
other areas because people come here as doctors and mostly doctors and teachers and in the technical field. So we get to meet other people from around the world. The proximity to the US, that's a wonderful benefit living here because on plane is only 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
30 minutes on a plane.
Oh
30
my.
minutes. If you go to an island further north from where I live, you could see the skyline of Miami. Like you could see the lights glaring. That's how close, especially in the northern part of the Bahamas is. And so that's beautiful. And you could take a boat, which is like 3 hours. So either way, it's not far. And
Oh,
then the main one for me is the dollar. We have a
yes.
one-to-one. The US dollar and the Bahamian dollar are on par. I mean, you couldn't want it better than that. I don't have to be like, I am going to the US. Oh Lord, I need to find $500 now. I have to convert it. I have to. No,
Hmm.
that makes it easy for a lot of people when they come here. They don't have to worry about, getting their currency exchanged
Okay.
into US. So that's beautiful, right?
Yes.
And just being here on a whole, it's a wonderful experience. I mean, I live on an island, and
Hmm.
so you get to feel that island feel all the time. Nowhere is far. You don't have to be driving hours and hours to get anywhere. For people maybe like big city life, maybe this might not be for them to some extent, but if you like a calm, more subdued lifestyle, then the
Hmm.
Bahamas is a good place to be. And lots of people make this their second home, especially people who are retired, they're expats, they're retired, like they're coming to the Bahamas. It's nice and tropical. No winter all 6 months of the year. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why, I think people could choose the Bahamas as a place to live, to work. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to visit the Bahamas one
And you're
day.
invited any day, my dear.
Yes, I would love to. Can you imagine 30 minutes away from Miami?
Yes.
I have
And
to
when
take
you
a 16 hours flight from here to go
exactly,
to Miami.
exactly, right?
Oh my
Right?
God.
30
Yes.
minutes. By the time you lift off, 15 minutes later, the captain is saying, prepare for landing. You take the next 10 minutes to descend and the
Yes.
5 minutes to land and be on the runway. Like it's just in no time. And the funny thing is, Tarina, a lot of
Hmm.
people still take the boat because some people do not like to fly. And I'm
But the
like,
boat would be
I would
nice.
like to fly because it's faster.
Yes, but at least when you're on the boat, it can be like a little, I wouldn't call it a field trip since you're on water. I don't
Yes,
know.
it's a semi.
But it's a nice little journey, a nice little
Right, right. Some people like it
day
for that
out, day
reason.
out type of
Yes.
vibe.
And you don't have to be rushing so fast.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then we do have a boat that is almost like a cruise, a little cruisy kind of boat that
Mm-hmm.
takes customers. And it's like that boat is longer. I think that boat is about 9 hours because they slow it down. So you could
Yes.
enjoy, they go and dock, somewhere out in the Atlantic and you could just enjoy and
Maybe have a
then
little
they keep
brunch or
sailing.
something.
Right. And
Okay.
yeah,
That's
so
good.
you could either take the fast ferry or the slower boat. So it depends on what you want.
Okay. Or you can just, okay, 30 minutes, I'll go to Miami, do some shopping,
Right
and I'll
on
get
that.
back.
Exactly. Exactly, right on that plane, and you're there, and you could, Tarina, guess what? You could go and spend a
Mhm.
day in Miami or Fort Lauderdale and be back in the afternoon
Oh
because you
my
could take
word.
that early flight and come back on the last
Yes.
flight, depending on the time, that the flight is leaving. So you could decide,
Okay. Great for
Yeah,
business. It's great for traveling, great for business.
exactly,
Agree for
exactly.
commerce. That's good.
Yes.
We have Daniel Johnson joining us. Thank you so much. He said that he got Daniel, I'm not sure if it's a male or female.
Okay.
I got a job there back in 2007 in one of the
Mhm.
islands called Abaco.
Abaco, right.
Abaco, Abaco, okay.
Abaco, yes.
Abaco,
So if
okay,
I could
yes.
just speak on that, what is your question? Or she just making a statement?
No,
Or
she's just,
I,
at this point, they're just mentioning that, they got a job there on that island.
right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
So if I
And
could back up, I don't know if this question is going to come up in terms of when you get your job. So because of the
right,
Bahamas is divided into islands, there are over 700 islands and keys. So but not all of them are populated. So you
okay.
may go on one of the populated ones. The thing about it is because of the division of islands, you may not be placed on New Providence, which is the main island. The capital is Nassau, so that's where everybody would want to go. Or you may not be
Mhm.
placed on Grand Bahama like myself. Now, when I applied, I didn't know where I was going. My job was here. So that's the thing. You may not necessarily know where you will be placed, especially if you come through the Ministry of Education. They may place you on one of the islands that may need teachers there because, like I said, the population sometimes is not as large on some of the islands. So teachers might leave there to go into Nassau for, a better opportunity. So they may place you on one of those islands that may be lacking or they need teachers. So you need to know that before you come to know that if you will be placed on an island, then you might be a little
Mhm.
bit isolated to some extent. When I say isolated, meaning that things will be different there. It's a smaller community. Everything is in like one place, depending on the size of the island.
Okay.
It's not a city vibe or whatever. So you have to understand that before you come. Now it could be nice experience. I've been to some of the
Mhm.
other islands. I'm like, oh, I love it here. I love it here. Maybe I just love it because it's nice and it's away from home. But if I live there, it might be a different experience. But it's
Exactly.
really nice. You go on the Exumas, it's beautiful. If you go into some
Hmm.
parts of Abaco, it's really nice. Bimini, Eleuthera, those are some of the islands. So, like we were saying before, do your research. If you're coming to the Bahamas and they say you have been granted, a teaching opportunity, maybe find out which island are you placed on and where it is in proximity to Nassau, because that's the capital. So you want to know proximity to Nassau, if you can leave there to go to Nassau and to the US.
Okay, okay,
Hmm.
great. So George Newton is saying that he loved the geography and the energy of this interview.
Hmm.
Thanks so much.
Thank
And Black
you.
community is enjoying the information being shared as well.
Hmm.
Um, do you mind us answering the questions as we go
No,
along?
that's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're okay with that? All right. So
Mhm.
Black Girl TT is saying, do citizens need visa to the US? And I'm going to drop
Okay,
in residents as well.
that's a good question. That's a very good question. Citizens do not necessarily need visas to the US. What I like about the Bahamas is you could travel on your police record as a citizen now, not
Okay.
as a foreigner, expat or whatever. As a citizen, you could travel on your police record, and that is beautiful because let's say you want to run to the U.S. for whatever reason, you could always go to the police department, apply for your police record. It takes only like 24 hours as a citizen to get 24 hours
Mm-hmm.
to 2 days and you get it and you book your flight and you go, right? Now, if you would like to get your visa, then the opportunity is there. We do have an embassy in Nassau, the capital. So you could always, the thing about it is, like I said, a lot of things are in Nassau, so you'll have to take a plane to go over. So when I had to do my visa, I had to take a plane, which is only 30 minutes again to go to
Okay.
Nassau and get my visa. But as Bahamians, you have two options. You could use a work permit. Sorry, I apologize. Use a police record or use a visa. And people use either. The only and another thing to Tarina, we have what is called pre-clearance here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have it on Grand Bahama right now because of Dorian. We lost a lot of things, and the airport and the was one of them that got damaged. We have not established that again, so we're working on that. But for now, if you want to use your police record, you'll have to go through Nassau. If you want to use a visa, you could leave from here on Grand Bahama. And I was going to say something else. Pre-clearance. Now, what is pre-clearance, Serena? You know we don't have that in Jamaica, right? Right?
Explain what it is.
Girl. So let's say you're going to, I'm coming to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I go through Nassau because I'm not going to go through Freeport. I want to go through Nassau. I go through Nassau. Once I go through Nassau and clear customs in Nassau, I clear U.S. customs in Nassau. I clear U.S. customs. I don't have to wait till I go to the U.S. I clear
Mm-hmm.
U.S. customs in Nassau because they have the U.S. customs there. And once I clear U.S. customs, I put my luggage on the wherever it goes through, checkpoint, whatever. I don't see my luggage again until I get to Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Everything is just like boom right through because that pre-clearance is like a blessing for the Bahamas. And I always tell my husband, I said, you don't know how good you have it because it's a handful. I think when I came here, I researched about 4 or 5 countries around the world that have U.S.
Mm-hmm.
pre-clearance, and Bahamas is fortunate to have it. So it's a blessing in either way. You know what I mean? You could they're just it's just like it's just everything just works out for you if you say you want to travel 30
Yeah.
minutes
Makes
Bahamian,
travel easy.
what I like I said, you could use a visa, you could use your police record, and you
So what
pre-clear
about
and you
residents?
residents
What about residents?
like
Yeah.
myself.
Like yourself. Yes.
I definitely need a visa, my dear. Yes,
Okay.
I definitely need a visa. So, like residents, permanent residents who are not, well, of course, you're not Bahamian if you're permanent residents. Um, you need a visa. Yes, yes, you do. But it just, like I said, pre-clearance is here. So once you clear the U.S. Customs, Border Customs and Border Patrol, you're good to go. You could go anywhere around the world. You don't have to come off in the US, go back through customs, check again, they search your luggage, you go again, you check again to the next airport, airline that you're traveling, you just sit and wait for them to call.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That's
Mhm,
amazing. And
mhm,
before we move on to our next question, I'm
mhm.
going to take another one.
Yes.
I'm going to take another one before I miss this. And it's from Trisha Pinnock. Thank you so much for joining us, Trisha and Camila. They have the same question. They're just joining us. And
Okay.
they're asking, how can I apply for jobs in the Bahamas? So I'll go ahead and answer this one
Hmm. All
for
right. So
you.
I think we would have said earlier before,
Yes.
once you would have lined up all your documents, then you could decide if you're applying through the Ministry of Education or
Mhm.
a private person, a friend, a former colleague who might have had a job here, and you could ask them to distribute your application, your documents for you to some schools, private schools, or even the Ministry of Education. And then when you go through the Ministry of Education, maybe their process will be a little bit different. So you want to do your research with that. Um, we talk about one online agency I know of is Teacher Way. You could find out if they recruit for the Bahamas, and there are others. It slipped me right now that you could use agencies to find out, but everything is on the web. So just type in Teach in the Bahamas, and then you see what comes up. And make sure
Okay.
they're reputable, by the way. And
Yes.
right, and then you go
That's
from
very
there.
important. That's very
Mhm.
important. Make sure
Yes,
that when you're doing your research, that these people are a legitimate agency.
right.
Teachaway definitely is one. So
Hmm.
you can do your Google search. Do Teachaway. If you have acquaintances in the Bahamas, can be
Hmm.
a colleague of a colleague or friend of a friend. You can
Right,
go via that route, or you can just. I will assume that they can just type in schools in the Bahamas.
right,
Start
right.
from there, right?
Yes,
Okay, great. You're welcome, Camille. You're
yes.
welcome. All
Hmm.
right, so let's go back to our next question. What is the salary range for Jamaican teachers or for teachers in general in the Bahamas?
Right. So this is before any teacher, once you're
Yes.
qualified and whatever, right? So Jamaican, I or the other person who wants to apply here. I think the range would be from depending also on qualification, years of service, how long you've been
Yes.
in the teaching profession, your experience. So they factor all of those in. But on a broad scale, it would be like from about 29, 30,000 a year to about 36, 37,000 a year, depending on qualification. It could go upwards depending if you're going into college level, go up to 40 something thousand a year. So you, like I said, when you apply, that is something that things have changed over the time period. So,
Mhm.
maybe they have increased a little bit. I know my salary was at, so so
Mhm.
I know, but depending on where
Yes.
your qualification is or what your qualifications are, then your salary will be based on that. But I mean, it's like I said, because I think because of the dollar ratio, you don't
Mhm.
feel as if things are that difficult. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
when you get your salary, it's your salary, and then you could use it, accordingly. So I don't feel like I'm so overwhelmed because I know I have to convert and right. So it's not bad. It's not bad, I must say. But
Um,
you know how the profession is. We could always do with more money, right? So
Definitely.
right.
Definitely. Definitely. But that's
Yes.
that's a nice range,
Right.
to give
Right.
persons an idea of what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And that will come out again in your research, guys. We
Yes.
always say that. Do your
Exactly.
research.
Exactly.
All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we move on to the next one. And you answered a part of this question earlier
Right,
about
right.
your experience,
Mm-hmm.
the lifestyle, and all of that. Um,
Right.
so you can just like for the teaching experience itself, what is it like in the classroom?
Okay,
When
yes.
the teachers do that, or anywhere
Well,
else,
sorry, you were saying something?
or anywhere else when
Okay,
compared
right.
to just let's not compare, but share your experience.
Right. And so my experience has always been in the private system here. I've been at the one school since I've been here. I've not experienced the government system. So I'm not going to be you know, speaking on that in a part in particular, but I could say that the school systems in terms of government and private, they're a little bit different, but I can only speak from the private sector side of it.
Yes,
So the class sizes range from, say, 15 to 20, 25, the most in my school. Um,
yes,
if we go higher, it's rare, right? In terms of the number of students in your class. We do have amenities in the class. When I say amenities, we have a microwave, we have a refrigerator, we have a Promethean board. So we have technology at our disposal we can use, and so the kids can keep up to date. They have opportunities to bring their devices to school if you need it. Um, but if you don't, we discourage it, right? So we don't have them distracted all the time. Um, in terms of setting up my room, that was just a how would I say, it was not a rude awakening. Maybe that's not the right word to use. It's more like it was an experience I never anticipated. So when I was to set up my room, and my former VP, I love her to death, right? And she helped me to set up my room that first couple of days when I came. So much so that my family in Nassau couldn't find me for a week because I was busy setting up my room, and they had to call the school for me because I was like overwhelmed, and I actually broke down because I'm like, I can't take this; it's too much. But that was because I was coming from a system that was different. We don't usually set up our room. Well, me, that is because I left school in 95. I'm much older than you, Mr. Rena. So you're a young bud. So you set up all your fancy stuff now. I left school in the 90s, okay, girl? So things were
Mhm.
different. You started doing your room when you enter and you put things up afterwards. So that was something that I was not used to. But after a year or two, Tarina, I was like setting up my room like nobody's business. I was just, learning the ropes. And one thing with me, I
Yes,
try to learn quickly enough so I don't have to depend. I
yes,
hate depending. Honestly, I do. I do not like to depend on people, especially in my teaching experience or anything. Once you tell me or you show me, I'm going to try and do it, afterwards.
yes,
And so that was it. And yeah, that was a nice experience for me. I've learned a lot in that experience. Is really just to set up your room and let it come together is really beautiful.
yes.
It's work, it's money, because you have sometimes have to spend your own money. But if you want it
Mhm.
and for yourself, you'll do it. I spend my own money all the time. I don't have a problem with that because I know what I want. And so if the school's not going to give it to you, they can't always give to everybody, you know what I mean? They'll give you something,
Yes.
but they can't give you everything you want. If you want the moon, they can't give you that. So, but that was good experience for me.
Okay, great. And guess what? You're talking about leaving school whenever. But I remember just a few months ago when I changed schools. You
Uh-huh.
know, I crashed. I had a meltdown
Mm-hmm.
because this was a total new school, new environment,
Right.
way of doing things. The system was totally different. Even though I've been here in the UAE, like this is my sixth year. So when it comes to
Right.
teaching, trust me, it doesn't matter how experienced you are. Once
Right.
you're going to go into an environment that is totally new, you feel
Exactly.
like you're a new teacher all over.
Exactly. Right. Right. I
I
swear. And
totally,
that is
I
so
know what
true.
you're saying.
That
I
is so
know
true.
what you're saying. I know what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying. And I do understand, like, that joy of working hard and
Mm-hmm.
putting the classroom together. And, worse if you're working with a theme,
Yes,
you can see
right.
everything gelling together.
And that
I
was the
love
first time I
creating
learned that word theme for the classroom when
the
I came
theme.
here. I'm like, my VP said, "So what is your theme?" I'm like, "My what? I don't know." Like, my theme? I'm
Yes,
clueless.
you have to
So
have a theme.
yes, right?
Yeah, you have to have a theme,
Ah,
and then everything comes off that.
right,
Even the resolve,
exactly.
the manipulatives that you use,
Uh-huh.
will all tie into the theme.
Right,
And
exactly.
you mentioned about getting materials from your school and supplies from your school. And I do understand that we do spend our own money at
Mm-hmm.
times because
Mm-hmm.
my school is very resourceful. I can basically get everything that I want, but there are certain things that I need that I
Right.
have to get myself. And I don't have a problem doing that. As
Exactly.
I said,
Right.
it's just how you want your room to
Mm-hmm.
look at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us a little more of what the school provides in terms of teaching materials. And before you answer that, let me welcome Dale T to the show, and Tashken is
Hi,
saying hi.
Tash. I'm the other person too as well. Sorry. I'm being biased to my relative.
And thank you so much, Alison. Thank you so much for joining. And Dale T Music, thank you so much for your support. And please, guys, subscribe to my friends' channels, Black Girl TT and Dale T as well. So, Nadia, tell us about the resources that you get at your school, whether it's learning materials, teaching resources, whatever it is.
Right. Okay, so I mean, in the beginning, we would get like wall charts or whatever, related to
Yes.
a subject, especially along the language arts field. And then after a while, we were encouraged to kind of make our own, wall charts and whatever. But
Mhm.
let's say we'll get our markers, backing paper, poster board paper. If it's a Promethean board, we'll get the pen
Yes.
to use on it. Sometimes those go and come. So,
Hmm.
once they're working. Um, and what else? Overhead projector for sure. Overhead projector. Um, and then in your room, you'll have the microwave and the fridge. Like I said before, you have a water thing in your room. And then the whiteboard markers, I said that before. Um, Whiteboard markers, the eraser, um, pens, like basic stuff.
Like
You
the
know what I mean? I'm
basic,
trying
the
to
basic
just
stuff.
remember because I've bought so many things. I'm like, I don't want to say the things that I buy.
Exactly.
You know what I
Stuff
mean?
that you
All the
can just run over to Miami,
right. Exactly, girl.
go to the
Fly
dollar
on a plane
store.
and
Okay.
you have $200. You say you have $200, girl. You just buy the
Hello.
ticket and you just go into Walmart and you just buy the stuff and you come back home.
Simple as that. Simple as that. I
Yes,
love that.
right. But they help you out at at a minimum. At least they start you off. But
Yes.
they can't give you everything. You know what I mean? So and and if there's anything that you may run out of, let's say basically like the basic stuff like a dry erase, you could go to the office and get replenished with one or two. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, teachers tend to get their stuff. And like for me, I just buy like a whole pack of dry erase so that I don't run out too much. And I told my students the best thing you could give to Miss Hannah are dry erase markers. Like if they
Yes.
ask what do you want for gift or whatever, it's like dry erase markers. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us, Sam. Sam, we answered your question earlier about how to apply for jobs in the Bahamas. You can go on Teachaway website and you can go to Google and you can type in schools in the Bahamas,
Mhm.
Ministry of Education, they have Bahamas, and see the schools that are listed there.
Right.
Okay, so in essence, when you are going to apply for jobs, you have to just start on your own in terms of research. Okay,
Hmm.
Sam German, thank you so much. And I wish you all the best with that. All
Yes.
right.
Hmm.
All right, let's go to our next question. Another thing that I wanted to, and this one comes under lifestyle too,
Hmm.
because I'm seeing that the other question after this one, you basically answered that
Okay.
already. But in terms of lifestyle, I know that since it's a Caribbean island, it's similar.
Hmm.
The lifestyle is similar to Jamaica,
To
right?
some extent, yes, right. But like I said, because of the proximity to the U.S., you
Yes,
see you'll see a U.S.
more
influence
influence more.
right here, yes, and
Okay, all right.
right. So like people would still, when it's like say Thanksgiving, people would still celebrate. And then we do have
Mhm.
a lot of Americans who live here, so they will celebrate. And you have people who have they hold on to that as part of the culture here. Not that we don't have a Bahamian culture, of course, but we celebrate Thanksgiving and other little, well, majorly it's the Thanksgiving, not the other holidays like Memorial or whatever, but like say Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
we have a little bit of the influence here, and so, and like I said, the proximity creates that, the influence.
Okay, all right. Before I move on, though, some of the questions they just keep, they're just coming to me. In terms of teaching in the Bahamas, though, what is it like with classroom management, and what grade level do you teach?
Okay, yes, I didn't speak about my grade level. Now, I'm currently teaching the third grade, but I've taught the first, the second, and now I'm at the third grade. I've been at the third grade now since 2017, right? So I've been at the third grade level. So, classroom management is basically up to the teacher, like how the teacher
Mhm.
manages their class. Um, there's no administration of corporal punishment. Those are fireable charges. You could be fired for that if you apply
Yes.
corporal punishment. So you have to find strategies to help to manage your class, because classroom management is like foundational for effective teaching. So you have to be
Yes.
able to manage your class so that teaching could go on. So you have to have your reward system, your
Mm-hmm.
punishment system, basically how you're going to be rewarded for the expectations that you want the kids to carry out, finishing their work, being quiet when it's time for work and all of that. Now I started using Jamaican vernacular the other day. I said picnic, and they asked me, "What is picnic?" Because when you get to that point, I'm like picnic, But
Yes.
you try not to use slangs and those things in the classroom. You try to be, to speak properly with the kids and everything. So I put their names on clothespins. I have my chart,
Mhm.
my behavior chart in the class. One
Okay.
child told me the other day, my name is not here yet. I said soon, because they feel like, because my name isn't there on the, it has the different checkpoints.
Yes.
Last one is parent conference, and I said if I get to parent conference it would not be nice, so it's like,
Right.
timeout. I don't remember what they are now, but it goes up to making
Mhm.
good choices and whatever. So they all always want to be above the middle. Is the middle is like you're on par with the behavior, the expectation, right?
Right.
And so,
They want to be
um
above.
pardon me.
They want to be above.
Right. They want to get above that, the middle part right there. And then some teachers, like in the lower end, like the the preschoolers and the lower end of the school, K1, K, not, we don't say K, yeah, kindergarten and grade
Hmm.
one, they'll use color charts, color coded charts,
Yes.
red, yellow, green,
Yeah, the
and
traffic lights. We call them the
uh,
traffic light chart.
right, right.
Yeah.
But their names are actually on little cards, and they'll put them into
Hmm.
pockets, and then they'll move them accordingly. If the child is displaying the expected behavior. Now, for me, I I I I I allow room for little chatter. I do,
Yeah.
but sometimes they overdo it. I like a little interaction. We're transitioning between a subject or whatever. We're coming from snap. I love for a little bit of interaction. So sometimes my class gets a little bit on the noisy
Hmm.
side. I also, when I'm doing centers or an activities, a group work or whatever, it's paired work, then they started talking, and then I have to do the little threats like, okay, maybe we won't play today or something. I do verbal, not
Yes.
threats, but sometimes I do have to use that little,
Of
we
course
don't
we
want to
do.
play today or what.
Right.
So yes, but for the most part, I think in general, classroom management is really good at my school. We don't have a lot of students going to the office for any infractions or any behavioral issues or
Mhm.
whatever, and the office will determine the extent of their punishment.
Okay, so that means you have a good support system with administration.
Yes, yes, yes. Because you can, like, once you send them to the office and they'll decide, and the parents are called. Now, if it's really serious, the parents are called for whatever
Mhm.
behavior it is, and they'll have a discussion. I can also call the parent in. I don't have to always say send to the office because they still expect you to handle your management system. You should. So I could always call the parent and say, I want to talk to you or whatever. If it's a situation that is, on a larger scale, fighting or some aggression or whatever, then I'll take it up
Yes.
to the office. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. We answered this question already.
Right, right, right.
Yes.
Yes.
We answered that question already. All
Hmm.
right. And for those who are just joining us, thank you so much for joining. I'm here with Nadia Hanna. She is a Jamaican teacher living in the Bahamas, and she has been sharing her 17 years of experience in the
Oh,
Bahamas
in the
for
Bahamas.
28,
Ah,
right? 28 years. In
28 years. This year will make 28 years.
Oh
Yes.
my word, oh my word. Thank you so
Ah,
much for your great contribution. Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to go right into our Q&A. If we have any viewers who have any other questions for us, they can go ahead. Guys, go ahead and drop your questions if you have any about teaching in the Bahamas. We have mentioned the documents, documentation, and when it comes to attestation, you would
Mhm.
have to do further research into that to
Right.
see if
Hmm.
that is a part of it. But we definitely know that you need a minimum of bachelor's
A
degree
bachelor's,
or
right.
a master's, depending on the
Hmm.
position that you're applying for.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
And did we mention anything about minimum years of teaching experience? Here in the UAE, that's
Um,
at least
So
two
for most
years.
and most, I think most societies tend to want at least 2 years.
Yes,
I can't say we have not had teachers who have just left college. We've had
right.
those because you have to
Yes.
start
We
somewhere.
have to start
You have
somewhere.
to start
Yes.
somewhere. So we do have persons who would have just left college, who would have
Mhm.
applied and come into the system, and then for our system, you'll be like paired with somebody who can help you, who mentor you along the way. So yes, but for at minimum at least 2 years experience.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And it's nice to know that you have there's a mentorship program for
Right. We
fully
try to
qualified
at least help
teachers.
those who come in to the system. And even for my system, we try to help them, even if you're not new to teaching, but you're new to the system.
The
You want
system,
to know
yes.
what the system, what is expected, right?
Okay, okay, do
Mhm.
understand, and I appreciate that. We somewhat have a system like that here in the UAE as well, and it depends on the school
Right.
that you start
Hmm.
off with. They will do have a mentorship program,
Right.
or you will just have teachers who just like to help. and they
Mm-hmm.
want the best for you, so they will just take
Right.
you under their wings
Exactly.
and help you out. Yes, we have that here. Black Girl TT is asking, is the salary paid in US dollars?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Yes, girl. It
Yes.
is
Like I said, it's one to one. You don't have to worry about conversion.
one
You
to
only
one.
need to worry about when you're sending it back to Jamaica or everywhere else, like how much money I need
Yes.
to send now. But other than that,
Okay.
and you go into the store, you spend US and Bahamian dollars at the
Okay.
same time,
Okay. That's
basically. Yes.
great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. George Newton is saying, thanks so much, our dear ones. My question is that I have a BA in education, in geography and economics, but why is it that most schools still require a PGCE, yet I'm directly trained as a teacher? Okay,
What
I
do you
don't think that is it is say for instance you did a degree in accounting, but
mm-hmm.
it's not education
It's not
based.
education, right,
Yes,
right.
you have to have this
Education degree,
yes, our
right.
certificate. Maybe
Uh-huh.
18 months, 1 year to 18 months.
Yes, yes.
You're
And we do
supposed to
have
do this
persons,
one.
yes, we because I currently have a colleague who's actually doing um an education degree because you're not specialized to teach in the classroom, so you have to have
Yes,
your education degree. So yes, they do require. So if you have an accounting degree and you want to teach, you have to have an education, some certification in education to teach because the fundamentals of teaching are different from accounting. You you will want to know how to do a lesson plan. You want to know how to do your activities. It's different. An accounting aspect is totally different. And
that's
economics, if you do economics and you want to do going to teach into the classroom, you have to learn how to go and teach econ into the
yes,
classroom. So yes,
right.
a teaching degree is required for or
Okay.
some certification. You have to show that you would have gone into some form of training to
Training,
become
yes.
a teacher.
For the lesson plan, the methodology.
Exactly, all
This
those
word
things,
that is
right?
always ties my tongue. Pedagogy. Pedagogy.
Pedagogy.
Pedagogy,
But
yes.
just like I could not say attestation. Pedagogy just rolls off my
Okay, we
tongue.
both have our
You
words.
see, what you use, you're familiar with, right? I know the word
Yes.
attestation, but it's like I don't use it all the time. But pedagogy, man, I use that word.
So yes, that is why, George, that is why most schools are asking you to get this certification done because maybe your degree. But in his case, he said that he's a trained teacher. Okay. But what I do see though is that sometimes the schools are telling you or explaining the requirements and it's say and or.
Right.
But persons usually miss the and or.
Yes.
Okay, and think that they need this certification.
Yes. Right. Right.
So
Right.
I always say to them, you have to find out from the recruiter that you're working with or the school directly
Mm-hmm.
or the HR. They will explain it more. But if you are trained in a specific area and it's an education-based
Mm-hmm.
degree you have, there's no need for this certification.
Exactly.
There's no
Exactly.
need.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And some is saying 2 years with a degree or at least 2 years generally. Oh, he's asking that is the 2 years with the degree or the 2 years in general? Say, for instance, you have a
Well, you would.
teaching
I'm
diploma.
sure at some point you would have attained your degree. So if you have started
Yeah.
teaching, that's the teaching, the experience, 2 years experience. So you would have had all your qualifications leading up to you getting a job wherever else you would
Mhm.
have been teaching. So I'm assuming that it would have to be the experience, not necessarily you would have had your degree before. Because, like I said, the bachelor's is at minimum. So at
Okay.
least obtain your bachelor's and then go into teaching somewhere and then.
Do you know that I understand why Sam is asking that
Uh
question
huh.
because here in the UAE, our years of experience before the degree doesn't count.
Oh,
It
okay.
doesn't
I
count.
get what he's
Yeah.
saying.
So
Right,
if
right.
you've been teaching like for 5 years with the diploma or
Uh
10
huh.
years and you only have your degree for 3 years, they're
Wow.
only looking at the experience after the degree. And
Oh,
the US
okay.
does that as well.
And
The
the
US.
US?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Well,
That
that's
has
good to know about the US. Okay, right. No,
they
because
do
when I
that too.
came here, they counted my years of experience, and I would have only obtained my bachelor's at that time, maybe
Mm-hmm.
3 years before.
Okay.
No, not even that much. Maybe a year before, because I'm counting the years I start. Right. I got my bachelor's in 2005. I came
Yes.
here in 2006. But they still, I remember because when they asked me how many years I've been teaching in my interview, I know they factor that in into my pay. So I guess this is different.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And Black Girl TT is asking, can teachers become citizens?
I think you can become citizens of any country as long as you follow the process and the requirements that they need,
Not the
right?
UAE. This is why she's asking,
You
not the
can't be in the
UAE.
UAE. Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Right. Well, for here, but you have, it takes time to become a
Mm-hmm.
citizen, I guess outside of the UAE. I can't speak for that, but it takes time
Yes.
to become a citizen. You have to go through a process. You know, like for me, I'm married Bahamian, so I have to be on a spousal, then I have to be on a permanent, then I apply for citizen eventually, but it takes
Yes.
time. These processes take time, but you can. It's going to be a long enough process if you want to become a citizen, but you can. It's not like you cannot be, but just be
Mm-hmm.
prepared for whatever process and the expectations that are required to become one.
Okay. Thank
Right.
you so much.
Hmm.
Okay, great. Dainty is asking, is there opportunities to take your family if you get a job in the Bahamas?
Yes, because I've seen, even my school where I work, I've seen, teachers who have come, say, from the Philippines, who would have brought their kids here and their family here, and then let's say the husband or the wife might be in a different field, they would have applied to whatever field they're in, let's say medicine or another area, and then they would have had their family here. So I've seen families here. There are opportunities because they do ask you if you have kids. I know when I was applying, they would have asked if you have kids and whatever. So they would know, I guess, how to factor in your family into,
Okay.
the move, right? So yes, there is there are
And
opportunities.
if since you can take your family with you, are you responsible for sponsoring your family and doing the paperwork, or will the school help you to do that?
That I am not quite too sure of. I think, um, when they ask you that, I think they're factoring in, maybe if they're going to help you with in regard to your family. I think they might help you with a family member, and then you would have
Mhm.
had to come up with the funds to relocate your other, if you depend on how many people in your family. But let's say it's a couple, I'm thinking they would help you with one of the family members, to come here. Um, but yeah, because I was traveling solo at the time, I didn't have to think about, factoring the family. So I never thought about that afterwards. But because I've seen so many families here,
Yes.
I think I can remember that there might have been some sort of help along the way. But like I said, everything you have to do your research, find out for yourself, because if you have family, you want to find that out. Make sure that you do your research and find out if there's any help, with your
Yes.
family.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
And Dale is asking as well that how long can you teach in the Bahamas? Is there a tenure for teaching? And I think he's asking because here in the UAE, our tenure or
Hmm.
our time here is based on renewable contracts. It can
Okay.
be 2 years, 3 years, and then our contracts keep rolling over.
Right. And the same thing, especially for, well, in my system, yes, we sign a contract every 2 years, and it also depends on, um, your performance as well. You could be terminated, so nothing is guaranteed, nothing is set in stone. You could be
Okay.
terminated. You may decide that you want to move on. The school may decide they
Mm-hmm.
want to, cut ties too as well. So all of those are factored in. Oh, let's say you're performing well and they've renewed your contract. Some people, like for myself, I've been at the one school for all these years. You know what I mean? So it all depends. And if you want to move on, fine. But you're not, you're not like, should I say, it's 5 years and that's it. You know what I mean? You can
Mm-hmm.
get the opportunity to keep signing those contracts based on your performance, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
and then you could keep teaching. So yes,
Okay.
but it's contract based for I think for everybody, even those who are citizen. I think it's also contract based as well because they
Okay, great.
terminate citizens just as well as expats. It doesn't matter.
Yes. Performance based.
Performance, right? It's
Yes.
contract, right? It's contractual, so it's performance based, right?
Okay. And since we're talking about contracts, and here in the UAE, if you have a 2 years contract and you decide that, okay, you want to move on before the end of your contract, okay,
Hmm.
that means you're going to break this 2 year
Right.
contract.
Hmm.
There's some, legal consequences to that,
Right.
what's the
Hmm.
term, and sometimes that comes with a cost.
Hmm.
Can you tell us about this in the Bahamas, if there's such a thing as well?
Right. Persons have moved on mid-contract. Um, like you say, break your contract. But if you would have given them enough notice, given the system
Yes.
enough notice, whether private or government, give them enough notice, then
Mhm.
I'm not sure you'll face any legal penalties or whatever. But if
Yes.
you just up and terminate and self-terminate, or you decide not to come back to the school, then there could be repercussion. You may not get your salary paid out to you at some point in time. If you would had, like say, gratuities that we get every 2 years, you would have earned a
Okay.
gratuity based on your performance again, then that would not have come to you anymore. So yes, there could be legal repercussions for terminating your contract. So make sure you understand the legalese, the terminology of your contract, and read it properly so that you know where you can um, come out of it without paying
Mhm.
any cost. I understand sometimes for various reasons people have to, leave,
Leave,
so
right.
be mindful of that,
Okay.
that you're not leaving and leave people hanging and then they
Yes.
have to go and find somebody to replace you in the middle of the school term and then you would not have given them enough time.
Yes. Okay. You mentioned gratuity. What is the
Yeah.
gratuity
Oh,
like?
gratuity, right. So
Yes.
gratuity is based on performance. It's like a little money coming your way at the end of 2 years. So
Hmm.
let's say your gratuity is percentage based. So it's about 5% of your annual salary. If
Okay.
I get that right, annual, monthly, it's one of them. Um, it's a percentage of your salary. I think it's
Okay.
yearly salary, and so it comes to you at the end of 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
um, at the end of your contract period. So it's extra little money coming your way. Now for expats, we get that as because some people are not on a pensionable plan.
Mm-hmm.
Citizens are pensionable as far as I understand. Citizens are pension. That means at the end of when they reach 65, then their pension kicks in, or 60, somewhere there. Their pension kicks in, and so they will be getting their pension from the government. For expats, you get what is called gratuity, and
Mm-hmm.
that should be considered to some extent what you would pay into your pension. So you should be saving that. You should be saving, not that I do, but you should be saving.
It's ideally you should be saving that.
You should be saving it because when you retire, you need some money. So,
Okay.
save your gratuity. But I don't. I'm setting a bad example here. I'm sorry, but you should be saving it. So,
But
yes.
your gratuity and the gratuity that we get here in the UAE is two different things.
Okay.
We get gratuity at the end of our contract when we are leaving the school.
Okay.
So yes, so it is based on our salary here. It is tax free, and
Mm-hmm.
then we have what is called the basic salary
Mm-hmm.
and the allowance part of the salary.
Yes, right. Same
Okay.
thing to some extent. We don't have taxes. We only have what is called a national insurance. So if I make a connection to Jamaica's will be the NIS, National
Mm-hmm.
Insurance Scheme. Ours is National Insurance Board. That's the name of the company, of
Okay.
the government entity. And then you
Mm-hmm.
pay into that. So for example, Tarina, when I was sick 2 years ago, I didn't work for like 4 months. So what I did was I applied to the national insurance to get a percentage paid to me. They would not pay me all of my salary, but they would
Yes.
have paid me some because I would have been paying into the
Yes.
national
In
insurance
the
for the past
right in the
16,
fund,
17
right.
years. Right. So yes, so that comes out of your salary, mandatory government. That's, you have no control over that, right? So I would have earned, gotten some funds to just sustain me while I was on sick leave at that time. So
Okay.
yes, so there's a
So
benefit
just
to that.
to make it clear,
Mm-hmm.
your salary is tax free,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
except for this
Right.
insurance fee.
National insurance. Right.
Not-
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. So that
Mm-hmm.
is answering Ayana's question
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
about the tax free,
Right.
tax
No
free
other
salary.
tax comes out of
Okay.
your salary. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ayana, no tax comes out of the salary except for this small percentage that
Right.
at the end of the day you benefit from that.
You get all your salary, right? Your basic salary and an allowance too, like you said, you get a little bit of allowance, with your salary.
Okay, great. Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And if you have any other questions for Nadia or for myself, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. And remember to give this live stream a thumbs up, like up the video, love it on Facebook, and like it on YouTube, and share the link with someone so that they can get to watch the replay of this live stream. Okay, so many times teachers are looking for other opportunities
Mm-hmm.
outside of Jamaica, outside of their own country, and now
Right.
you have heard about the Bahamas. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you can go ahead and start your research. Go
Mm-hmm.
to Google, go to Teacherway, start with the MOE. That's always a good place to
Right.
teach,
Right.
to start at the MOE of any country, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and find that list of schools and start applying. There must
Mm-hmm.
be some email address there, some HR
Yes,
email.
and the government agency, which is Ministry of Education, is really easy to find, and they send
Yes,
you application. And but like I said before, be mindful that this is an island situation, so you may be placed on an island, so be aware of that, and don't be like, oh Lord, they put me in the boonies, and there's so be mindful of that. But it could be nice and quiet because guess what? When they place you on an island, Tarina, they
yeah.
help you more. They give you more in
Oh,
terms of a living arrangements. They pay more
mm-hmm.
things for you, right? So it could pay off to some extent. If you say I want to save more money, if they put me on
Yes.
we call them the family islands. If they
Okay.
put you on one of those, then you get more benefits from the government. They're going to pay almost everything for you.
Oh, that's great.
Hmm.
We like freeness, like for anything to make life
Yes,
easier.
right,
Take
right.
money out of your pocket. There's
Right,
nothing
right,
wrong with that.
right. And
And
if you're single, that's even, it works out better for you. And I
works out.
wouldn't say a family would want to move away to a smaller island, but if you're single and it's like, no, it's like, yeah, let me go, it works out.
Yes. And I think, let me see if I understand George's question. Is the country of origin so vital during application and consideration from you is from Uganda? What is asking, does your nationality matters when you're applying for a job in the Bahamas?
Not necessarily. I think it's based on qualifications,
Yes.
and who they're looking for. There might be a demand. And so at the time when you're applying, there might be a demand for your specialty, for your area of expertise. So it's not like, oh, we're only accepting applicants from a certain part of the world or whatever.
Mhm.
I remember when I just started at my school, they would do heavy recruitment from Canada. So it all
Yes.
depends, and then we have persons here from the Philippines, like I said, we have persons here from Canada still, from Caribbean territories, from, you know, I don't see a lot of, say, um, what's your side of the world called? The Middle
Yes,
Eastern
the Middle
side.
East.
But I've
Mhm.
seen from Asia, like India and the
Okay.
Philippines and China, wherever, you know what I mean? So we've seen everybody. It's a melting pot, like I said. So no, the country of origin does not dictate if you get a job or not. Just be qualified and you spread your wings.
Yes. Just
Yeah.
try. Just send out those
Hmm.
applications.
Right.
Always, as I said, just try your best. Send out the application. The least you can do is to
Hmm.
put your CV in front of
Right.
somebody.
Make sure it's well done. It's
Yes.
attractive. It's appealing. So yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay, great, great. Before we go, do you have any word of encouragement or motivation for viewers who want to become international teachers to step out of their comfort zone?
Right. I would say, yeah, it's a great opportunity to just, like you said, come out of your comfort zone. Unfortunately, when we leave our own country, our countries of origin, we
Yes,
leave a little blight, a little glut. But at the same time, we go and experience something else. And if we so desire, we could always go back to our own countries and, share what we would have learned, along the way. So it's not a bad thing. We could always go back home and get into the field or the same field or work with a ministry or whatever. The experience is good. It's good to fill that brain with something else so that you could always expand your horizon and go and share. So it's a good thing. It's always wonderful to know more. And like for me personally, I want to say wrong, personal side of it, this is where I met my husband. So it was a good, and I had no intention to read. Let me put that out there. That was never
Mhm.
the intention. I said I come in here to work some money and blah blah blah.
Yes.
So that was never the intention. But it has turned out to be, a wonderful experience in that regard. And it's been 15 years. So, you know,
Oh,
yeah, it's been 15
yes.
years.
Come on.
15
And that's
wonderful
another
years.
benefit of stepping out of your comfort
I
zone.
mean, right? Who
Come
knew? Who knew?
on.
I'm telling you, I had no, Serena, when I say no intention. So, but it was a blessing, and I think also, and if you believe in God designing your destiny and your future and whatever,
Yes.
I think that's what God had in store for me. Because there are some other things that came out of it on a personal level that you and I
Yes.
know about. So I
Yes.
don't, so it's like it's a wonderful opportunity. Serena, my computer just went dark, and I think I left my charger at school because you know how we
Okay.
we
Don't worry.
transfer
We are going to
everything.
close
This is
off
my
in
son's
just a minute.
computer actually because mine broke.
We're just
So
going to close off in just a
yes.
minute. And you have done an amazing job. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing
Yes,
your
thank you.
experience with
I
us.
enjoyed
It's a
this.
bundle of joy.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I'm a, you know what? I need to start my channel. You know what?
Yes. The camera loves
I
you.
see that. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it. I know we need to put a
Thank
disclaimer
you.
out there that you and I are related by
Yes,
law.
we are.
Yes. So let's put that out there. Maybe why the comfort zone is just so, Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes, we
So thank
are
you,
related. We
Tarina.
are related. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, for taking this time. I appreciate it. My viewers appreciate it. George is saying that he's loving the vibe. And
Yes.
Ayana said it's refreshing. Sharika, thank you so much for
Oh,
joining. Tashke,
awesome. Thank you.
Black Girl TT, everyone that joined us, Dale T and Kim in the background. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys for joining us. Nadia, I'll see you around.
Thank you, my dear. Love you. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
All right.